Hi friends, happy snow day to those that are getting snow today. I think pretty much everybody except for where we live in Southwest Florida got snow this week. And Southwest Florida got dumped on with rain. I think from the same weather system. So we are still here. We stayed an extra day at our rental. The owners were nice enough to let us stay an extra day. We had another extra day playing in the snow. And we're leaving tomorrow, and hopefully the weather conditions won't be so treacherous. I do not like this weather. I just want you guys to know that the current conditions right now, like last night it was 0 degrees. I'm in Tennessee, like I'm in the South right now. 23 degrees, feels like 19, yeah, no joke. Winter weather advisory. So we have to leave here tomorrow in the window of time that like the snow's leaving before more comes, because there's this weather, I don't know if you guys saw that exclamation point, but there was this weather wintry mix. Winter weather advisory. More mixed precipitation expected. Total ice accumulation 1/10 of an inch. Which, like, ice accumulation's awful. When? From noon Thursday to 9 a.m. Friday. So we're going to try to leave here around 10 and miss that. Travel conditions remain treacherous. But, like, if we don't go home now. So, I mean, there's that thing as well. Rachel, why don't you just stay put? Just stay put till it passes. No. It's not going to pass. That's the thing. Is the high on Friday is 25. The high on Saturday is 22. Like, it's not going to pass and be, like, non-treacherous conditions until Tuesday, January 23rd. And I have to work that day. I have to work the 22nd. And we have to pack for Liberia on February 12th. So we have to go, and we have to go now. I think I just got a little palpitation. My watch isn't telling me to relax. Sometimes it tells me to relax if I get too fired up. It'll be like, oh, do you need to take a breathing exercise? Because you seem a little higher stress than normal. You know, typically that's when I'm at work in the ER, but be that as it may, the ER is a crazy place. I kind of miss it though. I haven't been there in a week. So back to the task at hand. We've been adopting for 18 months, and I got kind of down in the dumps today because the good news is we have a meeting with the State Department. Adoptive families, I didn't spearhead it or put it together, but I'm participating. Other adoptive families that have had bad experiences with the U.S. State Department, specifically the embassy in Liberia, where the U.S. government basically, you know, it's the U.S. government in Liberia. It's the ambassadors, the embassy there. This had it caused some issues for the throughput on adoption. There's some pretty horrendous, and so I knew a lot of the stories because I know a lot of people that have adopted from Liberia, and we've been connected to this program. It's 7 years old, and we've been connected to it since its inception. The original child, the original family that really just had to adopt from Liberia, that really wanted to really, really badly. We were their friends, and we introduced them to Small World, which was the agency that helped them. So, you know, we're vested in this program from like a supportive, like friends and family sort of role. But now that we're in it, it's different. And some of the things that have happened to other families in the last 15 to 18 months, I didn't know them all, and I read through some of them today in preparation for the meeting that's taking place on Friday with the Office of Children's Issues with the State Department. That's happening. I know yesterday in my video I talked to you, it was a little bit longer video, I talked to you guys a lot about, you know, 6 out of 1,000 kids die in the U.S. before they turn 5. The number one cause of death in Florida is drowning, and we do teach swimming lessons on the side as kind of a side hustle hobby, justice for kids. Project of mine that Jeremy's like, we're just going to turn this into a business. We're spending a lot of time on it. Where drowning is, but basically like in the United States, like you're going to be, you're going to drown, you're going to have unintentional injury, meaning abuse, or you're going to be in a car accident. And these are the reasons that kids die in the United States. And Liberia, 78 kids will die before they're out of 1,000 before their 5th birthday, and compared to the U.S. is 6. So that's a pretty big gap. The number one reason for death in Liberia for children is malaria. Very treatable. Second is like diarrhea, illnesses, infectious, where they basically have diarrhea, like 24-hour stomach bug type thing, or it could be more serious, like yellow fever or some of those more serious infectious illnesses, but survivable. vaccinatable. They die, basically, they don't have the supportive care. Because a lot of, you get nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, it's supportive care for 24 to 48 hours. Most people's immune system survive it. Even the more serious ones, we have medication for that. And vaccines. And the children there, that's, those are the first three things. Malnutrition. Basically, there's not enough food to go around. Even when they're well, there's not enough food to go around. So not to share too many details about the reason for our children being in the orphanage, but the number one reason was nutrition and illness and just lack of food to go around. I mean, they do have some surviving biological family members, not a lot. A lot of biological family members of a lot of these kids have died over the years from the same illnesses that killed the children. They also had a 20-year civil war that lasted until, I believe, 2006. I need to look that up. But that's a long time. So they've been at peace for nearly 20 years, but to lose an entire, when you have a 20-year civil war with 3 different sides competing for control, it's kind of like an election that requires 50%, but you have 3 candidates and nobody ever gets enough. Like, it's like when you have 3 different sides, it stretches out. And it's sad. It's very sad what happened in Liberia, and it's good that they're at peace. It's good that Liberia is willing to allow their children to be adopted, so that they can have a future that's more productive. And a lot of the Liberian adoptees that we've met, especially the ones that are adults now, they give back, man. They give back to that country. They give back to our country. These people are like grateful for their survival. And they work hard. And some of the Liberian citizens that we know that live within Liberia, like, that know that we're coming, they're excited, they're prepared for us, they're hoping to help us. They don't got time to help me, but they're going to make time because they love these kids. All of them. Now, that's not to say every single person that I meet in Liberia is going to be like, yay, Rachel's here. That's not the case. But they do understand that we're trying to help, and they are collectively, especially in their voter arena, on our side. And so, back to voting, American taxpayers. I just want you to know that your tax dollars and my tax dollars are paying the salary of some personnel at the U.S. Embassy that are not pro-adoption. Now, it's like, I struggle with this because I still think that, I don't think that God would have been mad at me had I not chosen to adopt. I think it's something He laid out for us to do as an option. We've done it before. We're going to do it again. I don't think He's like, oh, you didn't say yes to that thing I threw out there. I think God probably throws a lot of things out at me, and maybe some things I say yes to, and some things I'm not quite that brave. Some things maybe I'm just not mature enough to see. I don't know. But I will say this. I think that God adopted me, rescued me from myself and from other things, and called me His daughter. And that is something that I cherish and treasure. And it is a motivating factor for me to want to rescue these kids. These 2 little girls specifically. There's James 1:27 says, pure and genuine religion in the sight of God the Father means caring for orphans and widows in their distress and refusing to let the world corrupt you. And I, for one, could use something pure and genuine. And adoption is the ultimate care for widows and orphans. Sometimes when I think about our adoption journey, I'm super mad, super angry, and super frustrated, and I wouldn't change it. I'm not giving up on these kids. I made a promise to them. I'm coming to get them. Even if I have to become a Liberian citizen and get a work visa and get them to really like me, I'm going to go get those kids. Even if I never return here, I'm not leaving them there without parents and without family members. And occasionally what will happen with some of the orphans is that the kids stay in the orphanage for a long time. Their parents improve their situation and they're able to come back and get them. And it's not super common, but it does happen. But a lot of times those kids have been, matched and chosen by families here to adopt them. We don't think that that's going to be the case with our kids, but what a miracle that is for parents to improve their situation to the point that they can parent and they want to. That's good. What's bad is when the U.S. State Department interferes in something that it has no business in. And a lot of people have complained about this, and I've tried really hard not to complain about it because I don't, I know a lot of people, especially living in Southwest Florida, that have immigrated from other countries, and I think they're all great. When you have the guts to run to the border, and you have to run to that border, or you look at your current situation, your current country and socioeconomic situation, and you're like, we got to move our family. When you have the guts to cross the border, I'd prefer that you do it legally, because I think it's in your best interest to do it legally. It's a lot better in the long run to do it legally. But there are a lot of people crossing our borders illegally, and they're not really getting a lot of consequences for it. And yet, I'm going to try to cross our borders with 2 little girls. And based on the stories that I'm hearing from other families, I will face significant opposition to legally immigrate my children. Significant. So I'm not saying that I have an answer to the border problem of immigrants flooding in and not really understanding exactly the right way to participate in American culture, socioeconomically or otherwise, specifically with the rights and responsibilities that come with being an American. I mean, if you're going to run across the border, we need to teach you how to be the citizen that you need to be so that our entire country can survive. But that doesn't have anything to do with adoption. Adoption is a totally different, separate category. But there have been a lot of people to bring that to light. It's like, if you're a able-bodied male that just wants out of your country because it's scary there, and your family can't, if you can just get across the border, you could send money home to help your family. And you're crossing the border, and we're giving you food, clothing, a place to live, a place to work, and you didn't do any of that legally, but yet adoptive parents are jumping through these hoops. I get that the U.S. State Department has problems that they can't solve, but I would appreciate it if they would look closely at their employees, their personnel, and make sure that they are representing my interests as an American taxpayer from a legal standpoint. And that's what we're going to hope happens Friday on this Zoom call with the Office of Children's Issues with the State Department. We don't get the time or the link until that morning. There's some people that are, there's one family that's in Indonesia. They're U.S. citizens in Indonesia for work, I believe. Adopting from Liberia, which you can actually do. That's actually legal to do. But there's just a lot there. And so I say all that to say that once we get home, I'm going to really start analyzing my packing. And I really think that the packing thing, we were packing to come here for a week. And the whole reason we came here this week, so I'm I usually don't visit Tennessee. I usually don't visit our best friend Devin over here in Tennessee, unless it's warm, because I'm not going to buy new clothes for my kids unless I absolutely have to. And I don't like the cold. That's why I live in Florida. But my dog died in May. And it was I can't even talk about it anymore. It still makes me sad. When I think about our lab pit mix, his big old black dog. And I had him before I had kids. And it was the funniest story when I got him, because I had a boxer and she was 8. And I'd had her since before Jeremy and I were married. Jeremy's not really a dog person and certainly not a boxer fan. And to be fair, she really didn't like him either. So I could see where he wouldn't want any more dogs. But we were really having a hard time getting pregnant, and we hadn't been married long enough to even pursue adoption. At that time, agencies required you to be married for 3 years to be on a list. So we couldn't even pursue adoption. We were trying to grow our family, and we weren't having much luck. We married for 2.5 years or so, together for 4. And it was just, I was my boxer's gonna die. We're never gonna have kids. I'm never gonna have a dog. I'm just gonna be me and Jeremy forever. And although that was a completely unrealistic thing, and we ended up with 3 babies back to back, at the time that's how I felt. So I may have shed a tear, but I talked him into this dog that was on Pet Finder. He was listed to be in Franklin, Tennessee, which is 30 minutes from my house. But in reality, he was a courtesy post from Hazard, Kentucky. And Hazard, Kentucky is 5 hours one way from my house at that time in Tennessee. And so, but Jeremy said yes, because he was just a big black lab. He was like, oh, maybe he can hunt. We were hunting at that time. He couldn't hunt. He couldn't swim. He was scared of a lot of things, wildlife-y. But great dog. I drove to get him. He got car sick a lot. He threw up on me on the way home. But we had him for, almost over 12 years. We had this dog. And it's super silly to say, but it's just, It was really hard. So, sorry, a little caffeine. So, I'm crying about my dog all of a sudden. So, but I was kind of relieved because I was like, he was really old. And he was more, I mean, the kids liked him. He was more of an indoor-outdoor dog. We lived in Tennessee, and the kids were little. He had his own buddy system. He had his boxer. The boxer had passed away, and she lived another, like, 6 years, 7 years. It was like, I could have called Guinness had I not adopted her, too, and rescued her from the pound. But she was a pound puppy when she came in, so I don't know. But back to Rocky. So his, like, last 4 to 5 years of life, he was an indoor dog in Florida, and the girls loved him. He was like a glorified stuffed animal, super easy to deal with. Barked when people knocked on the door. That was it. Like, he was just easy. I mean, our fosters would run into him. I thought, gosh, it just makes you nervous when you've got a big old lab pit mix and you got kids running around. I'm like, oh, but he was the best dog ever. But I had never been dogless. So leading up, this is why we're in Tennessee. I had never been dogless. And so I was like, okay, I was relieved that he died before we went to Africa because I just didn't think he would survive it. He was really old. And I was like, oh, if I leave you, like, I can't board you. I could leave you with a friend, or we could have somebody house sit and keep an eye on you. And we had some volunteers, and that was going to be great. But he wasn't the handful, but he just probably, he wasn't one to eat much when we would leave him other places. And like, I don't know. I was glad that we got to say goodbye on our terms, and it was really hard. So try to be dogless until we got back from Africa. When we had to go to Africa, and the kids missed having a dog, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So it got like the hardest dog ever. Like, not exactly the hardest dog ever, but I wanted a 4-year-old dog, 3 to 5-year-old dog. I wanted a boy that was neutered. Didn't want girl territorial dogs. Just want a happy-go-lucky beta, Clifford the Big Red dog, but an easy one. But, you can't find an easy dog. I also wanted one that was somewhat hypoallergenic because Jeremy's actually allergic to dogs. And Jeremy agreed to the dog thing. I'd had like a couple of emotional meltdowns of like, I really miss Rocky. I need a dog. So we got a dog that, like, he's awesome. I love him. His name is Zeke. He's like 60 pound. Pretty sure he can pull a horse and buggy. Pretty sure I've had to try every like lead and training collar that exists to get this dog to learn how to walk on a leash. And the kids love him. We love him. But like, he's not a dog you can just be like, hey, can my dog stay with your dog for a week? Like, he's just not that dog. He's a freaking hound dog. And he's like a blue tick coonhound. Like 95% cheek swap. Blue tick coonhound. And so, what do we do? So, luckily, my dear friend Devin, after seeing this unfold, she did encourage me to get the dog. And then seeing it unfold and hearing how he's not like the easiest dog, we have to teach him. He wants to hunt, it's just who he is. And so she's like, well, bring him to me, and I will watch him while you're in Africa, and I'll keep him alive, and he'll be fine. I got other dogs, I live on a farm, it'll be fine. And I'm like, I feel like he's going to eat something that's important to you. And she's like, I'll bring him up for a trial run. Well, so we're looking at the calendar, and we're like, okay, we need to go now and do this now. So we made a plan to come to Tennessee, and back in like November. And then we made a plan the first week of January to go to Africa. So we're like, okay. So we make sure Zeke doesn't eat anything that's important to Aunt Devin. Turns out he did try to eat one of her rabbits, and he definitely tried to kill one of her cats. And now he's learning about shock collars. And we haven't had to shock him yet. It's more like a vibrate beep kind of thing. He did get on the range collar, like GPS, so he can't leave their property. But like, she's like, oh, I'll just let him spend the night tonight. And then we're staying in a rental like 20 minutes away. And then, we'll just see how he does. And he didn't do terrible. Like, he didn't come to blows with any of her dogs. But like, not ideal. So the test of friendship is definitely there. So that's the main reason we're in Tennessee, is because I can't live without a dog. And I love Zeke. And it's like this. It's like this culmination of gratitude to my friend who pursued Liberia for God knows why first. And I don't know if it's penance for her, like, to take care of my dog so that I could go. She's probably gonna end up taking care of her multiple times, but it's just the culmination of all of the emotions that I'm going through on a daily basis regarding this adoption is overwhelming, to say the least. But I remain grateful for this chance to get these kids home and to be their mom. And I hope that my dog doesn't kill anything that matters to my friend and her sweet family. And I mean, she's married to a saint because he was trying so hard to get Zeke to like him too, my dog Zeke. And I think Zeke will be fine. And he'll probably benefit from the structure and the training that he's going to get between now and then. And I know her kids are going to love him. And it's just, I'm exhausted being in this place of vulnerability, of asking for help so that I can help someone else, 2 more people. And it's not just our kids that we're helping. It's every single time these adoptions are public like this. Not their private, intimate story, but like every time there's a family walking around in any community that's conspicuously different, it models that God chose us, models the gospel. It's not easy to have a family that is born from someone's traumatic loss. It's not. I mean, we do have a couple of biologicals, but they're the least planned children in our life. And I just want to just say that I'm a little sad to kind of leave this vacation because there's nothing I've been able to do here but just be here and do a couple videos here and there and enjoy each day with my kids that I have physically with me now, and hope and pray that Zeke doesn't ruin anything. But the gratitude that I have for my friend Evan leading us towards this adoption, because she adopted herself from Liberia, and although I think her adoption from Liberia and what it took to be the first that started this program and the trials she went through to get these kids home, I think it changed her forever. And that maybe not in the way that most people want to be changed. It's leave scars on you that you can't get past when you battle for 7 years for one kid and then get a second kid just because you can, because you're there. I don't know if I have 7 years in me to battle for these 2 kids. I don't want to find out. But as we move into the next phase of just packing and preparing our family to just visit them, we are hoping and praying for a miracle that we can bring, but we don't have to split our family up. We don't have to leave them there. As it stands now, we don't have court dates to adopt them. We don't have approval from the Liberian government to adopt them. We're matched from our agency standpoint, that's all. And that's just where we are. So I'm sorry this video ended up being longer and I got emotional. If you're a dog person, you're probably crying along with me. If you're not a dog person, thank you for enduring. As always, we have a tax-deductible donation link. Thank you for those of you that continue to donate. Trina and Lana led that off, and thank you for continuing to support us in that way. And hopefully we always get more than we need and we can give that to other families.